A productive herd relies on a strict biological rhythm. In a healthy cow, the estrus cycle returns reliably every 18 to 24 days. When this cycle vanishes, the animal enters a state of anestrus. The reproductive system goes dormant, stalling the biological engine entirely. This failure is dangerous specifically because it is invisible. A cow may appear healthy and robust to the casual observer, while internally her reproductive system has undergone a total system shutdown. For a modern agricultural operation, this silence is costly. Every production milestone on a dairy or beef farm is tethered to that 21-day rhythm. When it stops, the entire schedule begins to slip. The gap between a cycling cow and one in anestrus is stark. Delayed calving reduces the total calves born over her lifetime. As this gap stretches, the current lactation cycle runs dry. Milk yields drop until they reach a total halt. This creates a financial trap. Although the animal is no longer producing calves or milk, her daily requirements for feed and maintenance remain constant. She continues to consume resources without generating any revenue in return. Ultimately, anestrus destroys the financial logic of the farm, transforming a productive biological asset into a liability that drains profit with every passing day. Restoring the rhythm requires identifying why the shutdown occurred. Usually, the investigation begins with the primary biological input, the fuel supply. High-performing animals, particularly young heifers or recently calved cows, often enter a negative energy balance. This occurs when the energy required for growth or milk production exceeds the calories they consume. When energy reserves deplete, the brain recognizes a survival crisis, suppressing hormones required for ovulation. Furthermore, deficiencies in micronutrients like phosphorus, iodine, and selenium also starve this pathway, keeping the system offline. In this context, anestrus is an act of biological triage. The cow's body is making a survival choice, shutting down the luxury of reproduction to preserve her basic life functions. If the fuel supply is adequate, the investigation must move to the internal mechanics of the reproductive system to find hidden errors or blockages. Metabolic disorders can effectively paralyze ovarian function. Conditions like ketosis, characterized by a toxic buildup of ketones, or hypocalcemia, which involves a dangerous drop of calcium, scramble the signals needed for a normal cycle. Physical damage provides another roadblock. Infections following birth, such as metritis, create severe uterine inflammation that prevents the system from resetting for a new pregnancy. Furthermore, the development of ovarian cysts can hijack the biological feedback loop. These growths act as a physical and chemical barrier, preventing the release of an egg and freezing the cycle in place. Whether the cause is a chemical imbalance or physical tissue damage, these system errors break the internal communication required to trigger heat. Biological function is also highly sensitive to the animal's environment. Extreme heat, overcrowding, or rough handling impact the cow's internal chemistry just as much as her diet. These environmental stressors trigger a sharp surge in cortisol. This stress hormone acts as a biological override, physically blocking the reproductive hormones that drive the estrus cycle. When the external environment is chaotic or stressful, the internal biological engine remains stalled as a defensive response. Detection is the primary hurdle for any producer. Because there are no active symptoms to look for, identification relies on spotting the absence of normal behaviors, like mounting or increased restlessness. Overcoming this invisibility requires a clinical approach. Veterinarians use rectal palpation to manually examine the reproductive tract, checking for the presence of functional ovaries and assessing the health of the uterus. Modern diagnostic tools like ultrasound provide a visual confirmation. By spotting a corpus luteum, a temporary gland that only appears after ovulation, vets can verify if a cow is cycling or if a cyst is preventing the restart. Successfully managing anestrus requires a shift from passive observation to active technological monitoring of the herd's internal health. Restoring the rhythm begins with a precision diet. Producers must calibrate feed formulations to guarantee a surplus of energy and minerals, particularly during the transition from late pregnancy to early lactation. Environmental control is the next step. Providing clean, ventilated spaces and reducing heat stress keeps cortisol levels low, thus allowing the natural hormonal pathways to function without interference. When nutritional and environmental fixes aren't enough, hormonal synchronization can be used. This clinical intervention uses targeted treatments to artificially reboot the cycle and induce ovulation across the herd. To prevent future stalls, producers use body condition scoring. By regularly assessing the animal's physical fat reserves, they can ensure she maintains the specific weight necessary to support a pregnancy. Estrus is a manageable challenge. By actively monitoring nutrition, environment, and veterinary health, producers restore the biological rhythm, ensuring long-term farm productivity.